to another week of Project Life videos. I'm Garden Girl Marcy Penner, and I am going to be going through a week of Project Life with you today. I've been doing Project Life for a while, and it's getting to the point where it's very routine, and I'm trying to break away from that a little bit and kind of breathe some new life into this project for me. So I'm going to talk about some things that I'm doing differently as we go. But I'm going to start with this photo. I chose this paper from Studio Calico Atlantic line, and I chose it because it starts dark and kind of goes like the ombre effect into a light pink, and I thought that was kind of good with like a sunset photo I had. So I'm going to use a little piece of white paper I just trimmed randomly and just use that as a mat. Now, one of the things that I'm doing differently this time around is normally I will take and I will spend a bit of time in Lightroom resizing my photos and making them so that this would be a 4x6, would fit in exactly. These would be 3x4s, fit in exactly. And when I do that, it doesn't leave a lot of room for embellishing, and that's fine, but I'm kind of missing that part of Project Life, so I decided to skip the resizing part of my process and just print out the photos as they came out, and I just made it so that the height fit and then whatever the width was is what it was, and it's going to leave me a little more room to embellish, and I'm kind of excited for that, so we'll see. One of my favorite things to do on a photo that has a lot of space up top is to put an embellishment or a stamp or something right in the middle, and I've done that a lot lately. So for this one I just did the little geotag because this is our farm, or a view from our farm at night. So that one is done, and I'm going to move on to this one. What I've realized with doing this and using a lot more pattern paper than I normally do is that even I just did this pattern paper and then one little embellishment, and I feel that that's a lot, if that makes sense. When I had just a photo, it kind of felt like I had to do a lot of journaling. I had to do a lot of other things to fill that space, but the pattern paper helps to do that. So this is a little flashcard from an October afternoon miscellany pack, and it says adventure. So I'm just going to tuck that in behind here. And I have this We Were Here printable from the September the September printables from Hello Forever. So I'm just going to stick that in the corner, and I'm going to come back later and I'm going to add my journaling in the white space. But so all this pattern paper is it's pretty new to me, actually. So okay, so for this one I chose this paper because I had a lot of the trees and nature and stuff, and then I have the photo of the rocks. So just to break it up a little bit, I found this scrap in my scrap bucket, and I think it's from Maggie Holmes, but I'm gonna double check that for you guys and see. And this one's from the Atlantic collection. I don't know if I said that. So just to break up this mat a little bit, I'm going to add a different pattern paper to the side. And this one I'm just going to glue on there. And there's a series of 3 photos that go together. So there's these 2, and then I have the one here. So because this one's going to have a lot of the journaling, I'm not going to worry about adding too much in here. I might come back and add some embellishments in there. I'm not too sure, but okay. So for the next spot, I have this is probably my favorite line of all time. Maybe, I don't know if that's being a little extreme, but the Crate Storyteller line, I love, love, love the colors in that line, and I pulled this one from my scrap bucket as well. So I'm just going to glue this down, and then I have a little yellow label from October Afternoon. Now I'm adhering to it because when I want to move it around, I don't want it to stick, so I just backed it with a piece of paper, and then I can move it around and decide where I want it. So that is why I have to adhere it. And then I also have a little look wood veneer from Basic Gray. I think it's a carte postale wood veneer, and I thought that was a nice little. I was gonna paint it originally and like really make it pop, but I kind of think that I like the light wood with the light yellow, and it's kind of all monochromatic that way, and I think I kind of like that. So, okay, so this is what I'm doing and pretty much going to be repeating at the bottom is just a whole bunch of pattern paper mats, which normally if you look at my previous Project Life spreads, that's a lot of like busyness for me, but I printed out 3 weeks ahead of time. And I did my photos all the same way, so I'm going to see if I like it. I may hate it and go back to filling up my spaces totally with photos, but we'll see. This is a paper from the Studio Calico Atlantic collection as well, and the whole paper is this blue with the little boxes, and there's one check mark in like the corner of the paper, and that's what I wanted to show. So when I printed it out, or sorry, when I trimmed it out, I made sure that my photo would leave room for it, so I scooched my paper over and just made sure that it fit. So I'm going to stick this down. I'm just going to adhere this side because I think I'm going to stick some things on that side, so I'll just move this over all the way. Okay, and then I grabbed a few things that I thought kind of went with it. This is a October afternoon 9 to 5 little tag that would have been in the miscellany, but I liked the owner's name at the top because this photo is about the new chairs that we bought for our porch. I had a few of them in the past, but we have puppies and they chewed them all to bits, so they finally outgrew that, and now we can actually have chairs that do not splinter you when you sit down, so that's awesome. I journaled on the tag ahead of time, and I knew that I wanted this right now cork embellishment from Studio Calico at the bottom, so I marked my tag with a little pencil mark when I ran it through the typewriter, just so I knew not to type past that point. So I can erase that now that I'm done. And I usually trim out my embellishments with the plastic. And then I can move it around till I know for sure where I want it. Okay, so I'm going to run this. I have a lot of empty space here, which I love, but I do want to embellish a bit, so I'm going to just cover that up. I'll probably stick that down there. And this is Take Me to My Happy Place. It's a little post-it from Basic Gray, and the whole idea is that I have this dream of like sitting on my front porch and with a cup of iced tea and just doing a whole lot of nothing. So one day that'll happen, but I'm gonna see. Okay, this doesn't really look like I'm gonna be able to use that, so I'm gonna stick this in like that. And then I have a little brad with a 2 on it from Basic Gray carte postale again, and I'm going to stick that right through the cork and everything there. I think I'm going to go and I'm going to stitch around here yet. And as much as I would love to use this, I don't know that it's going to work. Actually, that might work. Okay, I'm going to stick it underneath and see. The nice thing is that it's just like a post-it, so it's going to be very easy to adjust. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to stick that down and glue the rest of this down. And then I'll add my sewing later. My check mark is being covered a little bit, but it's not too bad. Okay, I'm going to stick that through later when I get my paper piercer out. I don't have a running color scheme at all. It's just kind of whatever. This is a paper that I love. I love the floral print, and I love that it's mostly like black outlines. And again, I'm going to have to check where that's from because I put my paper pad away, but I'm guessing it's Crate, I'm pretty sure. But I will check on that. So this is a photo that I have scrapbooked already, and I think you'll find it in the garden. But I have no objection to using photos in both my layouts and my project life. I have no problems with that at all. So I've typed a little bit of journaling on a October afternoon label, and I'm going to stick that in the corner. And I was going to put a little flower here somewhere, just because I don't get to a lot. But shockingly, I've gone through my stash in the meantime, and I've gotten rid of most of my flowers because I honestly don't use them very much. I have a daughter, but she's far from girly, so I have these Remarks puppy stickers from Amy Tangerine. So I think I'm just going to take, I'm going to have to cover up this little Lego guy, not intentionally, but. So I'm going to add that, and I'm going to add some other enamel dots after I've sewn everything down. I have this photo of my boys at the train tracks, and it's actually from my dad. I have my parents trained, as nice as that sounds, to actually send me photos of what they do when they have my kids, just so that I can add them to my project life. So I love that it adds a different perspective to my page, because obviously the majority of it is what I see. And I love that I can get other people's surroundings and experiences in my project life. So I love that extra perspective. So I'm just adding a tag to this corner where I typed what I wanted to journal about on here, and left room so that I could add the date and some stitching and stuff on the side. And I have a little Studio Calico bike that I'm going to add to the corner. I would prefer that it would be able to be on the tag a little bit more, but I ended up typing just too much, so that's just going to have to stay there. And for my last card, for my 6th card, I have, you'll see for the rest of this spread, I have a bunch of adhesive and stuff on things because my camera actually stopped recording halfway through, but I didn't realize it, so I kept going and finished my project life spread talking to myself, and my camera did not join me. So I took it all apart, and now I'm putting it back together. So basically, for this card, I mimicked what I did in this one, where I added a strip of paper down the side, and this chevron here is a My Mind's Eye paper, which I really love. So I'm going to stick that on there, and I'm going to add a little tab from the Hello Forever printables. It says the end in French. And I've included pictures of my barn falling down before in Project Life, but this is kind of as far as it's going to go. The walls are down and the roof is on the grass and whatnot. So when I do that, I've often included arrows that are pointing down, just to kind of reflect the motion that it's going in. So I added this arrow, and I just picked the silver because I had a lot of color going on, but they're available in a ton of different colors in the shop. So I'm going to add that to that corner, and then I'm going to write on this photo, I think, with my journaling. Okay, so for the 3x4s, I have a photo of my son ramping his bike, and that I'm just going to stick on a journaling card from the same printable set. And I have another little tab that says, check this out. So I don't have a whole long story for this photo, so I just left myself a little bit of room at the bottom, and I'll journal on there later. This is a diagonal striped paper from Crate, which I love, and I took my photo and put it on some layers of copy paper, and then I used that label that I had shown earlier that had typing here and then here reversed, and so I cut that in half, and you'll see this label, the other side of it, later on this side. But so for this one, all I'm going to do is stick this down in the middle, and this photo is going to go with these too as well. So this will be the journaling for that. So this card I took apart because I wanted to see, or I wanted to show you guys what that looks like. I like when I have a journaling card that has like a tab at the top. I like to cut that out so my photo can tuck under it a little bit like this. And it looks pretty bad when you look at it, but you can totally butcher the underneath part that's going to be underneath your photo, because your photo is going to cover that. So I start by poking a hole in with my scissor and then just cutting till I get where I can get a straight line with my scissor. But yeah, so I just wanted to show that because I know when I first started doing that, I thought for a while, well, my goodness, how am I going to cut that and not screw anything up? I'm going to have to use my X-Acto knife and, you know, but whatever. So this worked way better for me, and that's all covered. And it adds a little bit of dimension since it's peeking out over the photos. So these two photos are of my boys doing target practice with a Coke can and some zombie faces that my littlest drew out. So I have those with their wounds, and I'm going to just stick those in a pocket. They're not going to be secured in any way, and it's going to work out fine. So moving on, I have a blue chevron card that I love, and then I had this photo, which if I could take it off properly, you would get my, well, I will, and I'll just cover that with glue. Nope, I won't. Okay. Anyway, so let's visualize this for a moment. Okay. I have a lot of green in my picture, and then with the blue and all the greens in here, I just felt that this photo got lost on this paper, but I really wanted to use this paper. So what I did was I took and I matted it with copy paper and book paper, and I just stapled them together so that I didn't have to fiddle with them. And when I glue those on, it shows less of the paper, which I'm okay with, and then it also breaks up so that my photo doesn't kind of bleed onto my background. So this one again has space for some stitching or a date at the bottom. So now, as I went on, I realized I started with pink, and I pulled in a lot of yellow and a lot of blue, and never again that pink. And I was starting to worry that that card was sticking out like a sore thumb. So I found this library card from October Afternoon, and I had, let me see, a little penny from the squished train track incident. And so I wanted to use that on here. So I found this little frame in the Crate chipboard frames from the Pierre collection. And this was the smallest size, and then this one was the next size up. And although this one fit on really nicely, it was just going to leave me too much space around the penny. So in the end, I went with a smaller one, and I just backed it with white paper so that when I put my penny in there, it kind of popped out a little bit more. So I'm going to have to glue that on later. But I grabbed from the Basic Grade Capture line these little envelopes and pockets, and I love the color scheme, but I felt that I already had a lot of, well, I don't have a lot of color, I shouldn't say that. I have a lot of color here, with the background being like the pink. I didn't want to bring in like another bright color, so I went with the brown, which I thought was kind of more of a neutral. Now when I took it out, it came with this tag in it, which I just felt was too brown, maybe. So I took it out, and I found a tag that I had that fits in nicely, and it's white. So in my mind, what that did was it kind of goes with the frame a little bit more and makes it pop a little bit. So that was the rationale behind that. And then I just typed a little squashed word to put underneath. And then I'm just going to glue that into the middle here. And what I'm going to do is, because I have someone else's perspective here, I'm going to either get my dad or my kids to journal on this tag, just so I can add another voice to my Project Life spread. Okay, for the next pocket, I wanted to use one of the 2-piece wood veneer frames. They fit perfectly in those pockets. So they come in a bunch of different shapes and designs, and there's the two that I purchased that are a frame. So I chose to use the Today one, and I used this pattern paper from Lawn Fawn, and I added some coral washi at the top. This is from my Mind's Eye, and what that did for me was it was just another way for me to add in this pink color, and I made sure that I had some pink items on this side since this one was so far in the corner. So I scooched these guys over to this side just to kind of balance where the pink was. And so this is going to let the Today stand out a little bit from the rest of the frame. So I'm just going to glue that down. I could have trimmed this a bit longer, but this will work. Okay, and then I have a picture of a bowl of ice cream, because why wouldn't you want to include a bowl of ice cream in your project life? And then I also typed a little Real Hot Fudge banner that I'm just going to stick at the top. And if you love hot fudge, I actually blogged this recipe a little while ago, and you will thank me for it later. It is awesome. Okay, so last pocket, I have this striped black and white paper from Midway, October Afternoon Midway, and it has the diamonds on the back, but I'm loving the kind of charcoal black and off-white stripe. So I chose this because I thought it kind of echoed this black, because at this point this was the only black on my page. So I brought this in, and then I have a photo of my daughter on the trampoline reading a book. Once I place that on there, I think that it's too busy. It's just such a small pattern. It's very tight. So I did what I do whenever that happens, and I just mat it with some other things. So I just have a piece of copy paper that I folded, and I'm just going to mat that on there. And I think I'm just going to add, move this over, I'm going to add a tag. Let me see. I think I'm going to add a tag behind there too. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these with me and do my sewing and any remaining journaling. And then I'm going to come back and add embellishments that I add after sewing, and those are anything that I can put on top of stitches and that I don't want to sew through. So enamel dots and like metal items and things like that. So I'll come back and add those after the fact, and then we will wrap this up. Okay, so I'm done my stitching and my journaling and my dates. So now I'm just going to go back and see if there's anything I want to add, any small embellishments to, like enamel dots or metal items, or things that I can't necessarily sew through. So I think I'm going to add a little arrow here pointing to the rest of this story, and I'm going to add, I know I want something on here because I have nothing. So let's do my favorite glitter stars from Studio Calico Atlantic. So let's try that. We'll put a big one there. And maybe some enamel dots. Mix some colors there a little bit. Okay, and let's see. I wanted to see if one of these cork chevrons would fit in that arrow. Let's see. It probably does, but I think I'm going to leave that out. I'm not too sure about that one. Okay, we'll add, let's see. I'm going to add some more of that coral pink on this card here with an enamel dot, or 2 or 3. kind of neglected to date that one, so I'll have to go back and find that one. I think because my dad sent it to me that I didn't have the date in the computer. But anyway, so this is basically what this week is going to look like. And my challenge for you this week is to take someone else's voice and add it into your project life. So whether that is with a photo from someone else or some journaling from someone else, get an additional voice in your project. And so I want to encourage you to check out the rest of the videos at 2 Peas in a Bucket. And thanks for watching and have a great week.